I think we've all been through many of those routes. So
We have.
I think it's heartbreaking, is that not it?
It is.
And for us to be politicizing a very issue that the president said he will put his presidency on the line for, it should be a concern for everybody.
It definitely should. And good morning to you, and thank you for joining us. It's TV3 New Day. We're back as usual. We hope you don't have a broken heart this morning. But I'm sure that as we move along and have conversations about the effects of Galamsey on our water and forest areas, you'd realize that this is even more heartbreaking than you'd ever would think of. And so we would like to hear from you what you make of this situation, especially now that the blame game is about, between the two parties and who polluted our environment even more. I mean, we're talking about a health crisis, a security crisis, and now we're getting MPs who are supposed to come together and fight this issue, now debate over who polluted the water bodies more. For me, what I got from that was an admission of the fact that, yes, they are polluting the water bodies, and that already is criminal.
And also an admission that there's been a policy failure.
Exactly.
And then a lack of a sense of responsibility of owning up to the promise that was made to the Ghanaian people. And I believe that if we take a look at the hundreds of millions that have been spent on this Galamsey fight and where we are, it clearly shows that we just have to also be on the side of the tomb for when about 2 or 3 years ago, he did say in that room that he believed and knows that 30% of those individuals who are government appointees, whether from the president to the last person who is appointed by him in that room, are those who connive and condone with their partners to make sure our river bodies become what they are, but also just dig the land for mineral resources without recourse to what the law says. And
he's not the only one who would say this. I mean, you remember that Haji Halima Mahama, former Minister for Local Government, had also said that she knew some MMDCs and some people who were involved, in Galamsey. What happened to that? Now, just yesterday as well, the Speaker of Parliament also made a statement on this matter. He said that we know the people who are involved, those of you who are involved, and those of you who are collecting monies from them, tell them you don't want the monies anymore and stop it. For me, it was very disturbing knowing that, so we have all these leaders who are aware of the people who are involved, the leaders who are involved in Galamsey. Why are we not naming them? Why are we not shaming them? Why are we not jailing them? Because now it's gone beyond just, mining for gold without a license. It's about poisoning the rest of the citizens. Yeah. Because if we're talking about lead and mercury in water, I mean, yesterday I was thinking about it and I was wondering, so all these, we say we probably don't want to drink tap water because we're not sure how pure this water is. So we're buying bottled water, we're buying sachet water. Now, these people are also sourcing their water from the streams and all those places. And over the years, they've told us how pure the water from the streams are. Now, if we're being told that our soils are being polluted, that also trickles down to our water bodies and eventually into the stream. So now I'm even sitting down questioning myself that, so even all these, branded water companies that are selling water, how sure are we that those waters are also not polluted? Yeah,
I have a classmate who, of course, is a scientist, so teaches in one of the topmost universities, also teaches across the world as well, but is in Ghana. Yeah. And 2-3 years ago told me that the research had been done in the Takwa and Swayem and many of those areas up to Cape Coast, where there was every indication that people were having difficulties or having birth defects as a result of polluted water. Yeah. And the water is not only silted, they have mineral deposits. And when you do the normal water, perhaps you try to purify it, so to speak, purification of water, you still have content of metals in there. So you have the water that is clean, but it has content of water. Yeah. And we travel. So we say that our health is at risk. What about those who live in some of those areas? Exactly. Who innocently may be thinking, I'm drinking water from the Ghana Water Company or from a source that is supposed to be secured. But in actual fact, that clean water you're taking has mineral deposits. Yeah. It's as dangerous as you can ever find. And it's a public health crisis.
It's not even only about drinking. So I was just watching, and good morning to Erastus Asari Donko, I believe that's his name from Multimedia. I was just watching his documentary as well. And there's a gentleman in one of the villages who now burns the mercury to extract, the gold from the rocks. Now, apparently, even just inhaling that smoke as well also makes you prone to all kinds of diseases. So now it's gone beyond even drinking the water, because I'm sure that people will say, okay, if that's the case, I'm not drinking the water anymore. But indirect exposure to even these metals also affects you. And that's why there are children in those areas who are being born with all kinds of deformity. Now, I hear that their limbs are growing from their chest area, you know, from their groins and all that.
Sometimes they have only one eye coming up. Sometimes they have deformities with their genitals.
Yes.
And it's as serious as you can have. Look, we always used to talk about mercury. Now they're using cyanide. And if you have history of how cyanide has been used, especially prior to the Second World War, had been used a lot by Hitler's Germany to do a lot of the assassination of those they thought to be their enemies. Also, it's been speculated in the spy world that is used for espionage purposes, where they tend to also use it against their enemies, etc. And so for you to be using mercury and cyanide is very poisonous. Apart from mercury, cyanide is very poisonous. I mean,
how are they getting access to it? Because
somebody is importing them into the country.
No. So cyanide apparently is imported into the country for controlled mining.
Yes.
Per what I know. Now, even that one, it has to be sanctioned by the country that's sending in the cyanide.
Exactly.
Plus this country. And it is only controlled for the mining companies that have the license to use it the proper way. So they are not allowed to be given to all these galamseyers. So the question that we're asking as well, how are these galamseyers also getting access to the cyanide? So that means that there's a failure in checks and balances. Because if we have Minerals Commission, we have the EPA, we have all these bodies who are supposed to ensure that some of these products that are very poisonous are being handled the right way, and they're getting into the hands of these galamseyers, then we have a lot of questions to ask. Because from what I hear, if cyanide even touches your skin, you're gone. That's how dangerous that product is. So why are we dealing with that now?
To think that the president has the power, based on the Constitution, to have control over every mineral deposit on this land, the Republic of Ghana, and has seemingly watched this to dissipate and then get to this extreme level and does nothing about it by the continuous rhetoric. It's sad. Yesterday, I read something from the Professor Frimpong Watson's report, and he said, I can state without any equivocation that many party officials from the national to the unit committee level had their friends, PAs, agents, relatives, financiers, or relatives engaged in illegal mining. Most of them engaged Chinese working for them. So, who brings the Chinese
them
into Ghana? The equipment, the earth-moving equipment we're seeing there, it goes through the Tema Harbour. So, who imports them? Why can't it be tracked? We have customs of the GRA. We have the various entities that do the approvals. They are even taken through Tema. Motorway. Then he even goes to the mining center. We have policemen at checkpoints. We have various MMDAs or MMDCEs who have been appointed in the controlled areas before they get to the destination. Are we saying that we don't know who is doing this or perpetrating this? And we are looking on just because somebody wants to gain money uncontrollably, is destroying not only vegetative cover, but people's lives. Nobody minds.
We're all getting poisoned.
It looks like Ghana is on autopilot. We're on autopilot till December 7th. It's ridiculous to ever see some of these things happening.
And for those of you who might think that this is far from, you know, the urban cities, and so you may not be affected by it. Now, there was a study that was conducted, and this was just this year, in fact, a few months ago, April 22, 2024. And they were studying vegetables and whether these vegetables were high in mercury, fecal content, etc. Now, these vegetables were taken from urban farm sites, including Hacho, Jowlu, and Weja irrigation sites
here in Accra
for laboratory analysis. Now, they said that the concentration of lead, mercury, and cadmium were determined using atomic absorption, blah, blah, blah. Results from all three sites showed that the concentration of these in lettuce were within the World Health Organization's permissible level. However, levels of mercury and fecal coliform in the vegetables from all three sites exceeded the WHO permissible limits. And so it concludes that consumers of vegetables from such urban farms are exposed to health risks associated with mercury and fecal coliforms. So we might think that it's far away, and it's probably just from, you know, the produce that we're getting from the farmlands in the rural areas. But even right here in the capital city, we're consuming it. And all of us, whether we like it or not, we've probably eaten some, one way or the other.
I mean, only the MPs. I'm sure the MPs, they import water from somewhere else.
They cannot. With which money? We're all drinking the same water, are we not? We're all consuming the same food. Unless they're telling me that the vegetables and all the food items that they are also consuming, they're importing all that from outside. And I was more disturbed when I interviewed that man. And he said that they are using the same pure water that is contaminated to water their crops. That's how bad it is.
There's a channel on TikTok called Galamsey TV. And when you watch that channel or that account, where they tend to just capture how the process is done or the processes they go through to be able to get the metal, that is gold or whatever, and you look at the chemicals they use, and sometimes when the water is already silted and polluted, they are able to take fish from there and cook on the Galamsey site. I keep asking, who is financing these people who think they are making money and putting their lives at risk? Yes, you may buy that four-wheel drive and build your nice house, but have you looked at a long-term health effect? And also the residual effect for those that you tend to interact with in the community? It just doesn't make sense.
And while we're discussing this
on big issues,
of course we are. We have to discuss it for as long as we can until something is done about it. But while we're discussing this, I mean, the MPs are debating this on the floor of Parliament as well. And yesterday, the Majority Chief Whip had this to say. In fact, we saw this video from City Newsroom. So just take a look at what Honorable Annor Dompreh. Oh, it's our video. Okay, we also were able to get it. So please, let's listen to what he had to say.
To ensure that anybody, whether you are a religious person, you are a traditional person, you are a politician, you are a flag bearer or an MP who politicizes Galamsey operations in this country, this House must take action on that person.
By tomorrow, the minister should appear before Parliament to brief us what they are doing to address these serious problems. We all know now there is water shortages all over in Ghana, particularly in Kumasi, particularly in Mansia, where the running mate of NPP is coming from.
If we are to look and investigate, you polluted the water more than us. You polluted the water more than us.
I would want to urge all of us to pursue this matter and not make those civil society organizations helpless.
Yeah. So you heard from the Majority Chief Whip. He's accusing the NDC of polluting the water more than the NPP. So that means that they are admitting that they have also polluted the water, or they may continue to pollute the water, just that theirs is not as bad. But if you look at the number of years that they've been in government and we see the state of our water bodies, and they're saying that the NDC has done more than them, I mean, I can't even fathom how we would make such a statement on the floor of Parliament when we're expecting that our leaders will come together and fight this and name and shame the people who are behind this. Because we've read from Professor Frimpong Boateng's document as well, that there are people at high positions, some in the office of the president, who are the ones behind the Galamsey activities. He's named some of them. What has been done about that? When that report came out, I remember the Attorney General came out and said that there's not enough evidence to prosecute. And so really there was no need to follow up on this. And I was like, okay, but names have been mentioned. Have we even invited these people for question? Have we gone beyond?
But the report was condemned.
That's what I mean. So that's what I mean by...
The report is condemned.
And we had a whole Attorney General who condemned the report as dire as this, from the chairman of IMSIM. At least go into it. Exactly. Go into it and investigate before you come out and make that statement.
We spend all that money. I should have gotten the money somewhere.
You should have gotten the money some.
Because the money has already been spent.
I don't want that money. I really don't. I mean, people are dying.
Don't know. Look, we've opened the phone line. So we have big issues for you. Bella Munde is hosting. Who are you hosting this morning?
Well,
Edem Agbana, I know.
Edem Agbana is coming.
The parliamentary candidate for Bosome
Frehun is also coming.
Okay, so we'll have some great discussions.
And then we have a rep from Movements for Change also joining us.
Yes,
so
yes, certainly.
We're going to get into this and see.
So phone lines are open. We'll wait for Johnny before Johnny's bites. Let's have one or two phone calls. Phone lines are activated, so you can call now. Remember, we also have cash out. Charlie Galamsey took the better part of us this morning. So we have cash out goes with a short code *439#, and choose option 2. And please increase the number of tickets and keep staking. Okay.
We have a caller. Hello, good morning. Hello, Charlie, good morning.
Yes, good morning, madam. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you too?
I'm also terrific.
All right. Talk to us.
Yes. Yes, Madam, everybody must be concerned about the situation of our bodies. Even we those who do not live around where money is done. You know, the water is not stationary. It circulates, it moves, it moves around. Yeah. So all of us are affected. And it's not surprising that these days you go to the hospital and there's a whole lot of complaints with regards to water-related diseases like typhoid. In fact, it's just on the ascendancy. And clearly, the president has lost the fight against corruption, what do you call it, Galamsey. And you can imagine that they came out with Operation what? Galam Stop, where we had this guy, the one soldier who was murdered, I forgot it, Adam, somebody called Adam. Yes, he was murdered because of this Galamsey issue. Now, we haven't seen any improvement. Yet he put his presidency on the line. So it's very, very pathetic.
Well, unfortunately, we cannot pick more calls. We hope that maybe later in the show we will allow you to call in as well. But Johnny is ready with Johnny's Bites now.